Today we're going to be writing a function that actually take a string and return the same string but with even numbers in order. From less length to max length. So how would we do that? We start by creating a function. The first thing that I would suggest always do when creating a function is always set the default values to it, so that way if for some reason the function gets called later on and you forget to pass some parameters to it, the script is not going to break. So it's still going to work if based on these default values. For this example, maybe it don't make too much sense, but when you're writing something more complex, it totally makes sense to have kind of a backup. It's kind of your own small mini unit testing within your own code. So the way we do this, text, some text. Alright, we did something like that. So what this does, if when you call this function, if no values is being passed to it, what it's going to do is going to use the default value. If you pass something into it, it's going to replace this value with whatever you're passing through. So now that we have this, the first thing we want to do is split it. So the reason we need to split this function is because since it's a string, we want to convert it into an array so we can filter through it. So we can do that easily by just splitting it in there, and then you can actually filter through it. So now that we can filter through it, we could actually say something like this. And this is pretty much what it's telling me, is that if any word that I'm filtering through, if the length of the word can be divided by 2, that means it's not an even number. So if it's an even number, then I'm going to keep it. So right now, if I do sentence without a typo, you see that what it returned me is only even words in an array. So right now, what we want, the next thing we have to do is, let's say, this is not a good example. Let's try something else. A longer sentence with into la. Alright, so now this is gonna help us a little bit better, because the next thing we have to do is order this from less length to greater, from less to greater. So that means in2 should be one of the first one in the array. So the way we do that is, now that we have this function here, we have to create a new one, otherwise it's gonna throw an error, obviously. So if you say let's sort this, and we take A and B. So A is the first word that is passing by, B will be the second one. So what we're going to do is see if A length is minus B length, that should actually sort or array. So right now, if we do the same thing but with the function number 2, we'll see that we have a sort array. So right now we're supposed to return a sentence. This is an array, so now we have to convert this to string. The way we do that is as simple as saying to string. So now if we do this again with the function number 3, you see that it's a string. But unfortunately, what's happening now is that it's creating a string, but it's concatenating them with commas. So right now we have to replace all those commas. So an easy way to do is by writing a small regex. That is something you do a replace. So one that will be super easy to do is something like this. Then replace it with a space, and now if I do the same thing but with number 4, I should be getting my sentence. So I enter in a sentence and I return a sentence. So the reason why this is working, because what this is saying is we only want to keep anything that is a word. If it's not a word, we're going to make it a space. So that's why we ended up with or looking like sentence in here. So that's pretty much it. I think we accomplished what we needed to do, and